forget. It's not, marker bins are not the most glamorous, but they are the most useful tools. So what I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to basically set up my project to, so this way. So if I were to kind of say, I would probably call this, jshute underscore midterm. And this is the naming convention that I always prefer to use. I always like to kind of put first initial, then last name, underscore, then the project that I'm working on. So assets, which is where I'm going to be putting this right over here. So this is going to be the music that I'm going to be using. And if I were to use like any videos or any photos, imagery, that I put that in here as well. Now I'm also going to create the project folder or project files. So this will be where this After Effects file is going to go when I save it, and then final render. So this is going to be where your finished product is going to go. Okay. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up, well, I'm not going to open up anything. I'm just going to go in After Effects and get into the habit, guys, of saving immediately. That's always the problem when people work on a project. We get so caught up in it, we forget to save. And then all of a sudden, if it crashes on us, sometimes it'll automatically save, sometimes it won't. I just always say get into a good habit. Hopefully some of these skills, what I'm trying to teach you guys, will give you guys good what I call good workflow hygiene. So project files, and I'm going to call this, for consistency, midterm. All right. Yes, and I'm going to hit save. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got my little blank space for recording, and I'm going to import file. And I'm going to actually go into my assets. And this is a royalty-free song, and the reason why I chose this specifically is because I'm going to be posting this demo up on YouTube. So this way I won't get any strikes against me, because I really don't want to do that. So, but for you guys, for what you guys are wanting to do, since you guys are doing an academic project, if you guys want to choose an already existing song, that's completely okay. If you guys have already chosen something off of YouTube and you need me to help you guys on how to quickly extract it with a YouTube to MP3, I will go over that with you as well. All right, so here we have Lie to You. I'm just going to hit open. All right. So what I'm going to do now is, now that we've got the song, I'm just going to quickly hit create a new composition. And I'm just going to call this, again, I am consistent. Or at least I try to be when it comes to this. All right. HD20, 1920 by 1080. Frame rate, usually 24. But for this, maybe if I want something a little bit smoother, I'm going to go with 29.97. And duration, as the default, is usually 30 seconds, guys. If you want to make it a little bit more, you can always do so after the fact. But since this is going to be a quick demo, this should be fine. So I'm going to press OK. Okay, so now we've got this blank void. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to bring the MP3 in, and voila. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring this. Never mind. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually open this MP3. Now it's going to be different because it is a sound layer and not a visual layer. So it's got its audio properties, audio levels, decibels, okay? This is usually the default. If you wanted to go high or low, we can adjust that. You can even key that, all right? You can go down to the waveform, which is going to be basically where it's showing you the sound itself. Now again, I'm not a sound engineer, but when you're looking at this, obviously, let's take a look. So, okay, so this is the kind of project you want to be using headphones, okay? Because you're going to be listening to the same lyrics over and over and over again. And it's going to drive you batty, and it's going to drive the person next to you a little batty. So, let's kind of go in and zoom in. So one thing about waveforms is that you could definitely tell when it starts to kind of do like a quick little chunk. right here, this is where the singer is singing. Okay, so I have very bad hearing, guys, so I'm going to kind of do a little cheat. This guy, I believe it's Lie to You, and I am actually going to go and I'm going to go in and I'm going to find the lyrics because, all right, I think, all right, so now, again, now I got this nice little thing of lyrics. Now I can use this as a reference to what I want to type. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the quick way to do how to use text in a certain way, how to use the text layer and text animators. All right, so let's see. I know you feel like you want me. So here, right now, we've got this nice little chunk of lyrics. So what I'm going to do is, remember this little icon right here, the marker bin, guys? You guys remember that? That boring little unassuming button? I'm going to press that. Boom. So we're starting kind of at the cusp of right when he's singing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the marker that I just made. Okay, I made it right here. It appeared right here because this is where the time indicator was. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm actually going to open it up, and I'm going to paste. And right here is, I know you feel like you own me. All right, so that probably looking at, let's see, about a second. So I'm going to go in and hit 1 second and label. I'm actually going to give this a nice color, like a nice fuchsia, and I'm going to click on protected region. Okay, so I'm going to press OK. So see what that did. Okay, so now actually it's going to last a little bit longer than that because I believe it ends right here. I know you feel like you want me. So it seems to end right around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull the bracket. Let's see. I know you feel like you want me. Okay, so I'd say that times it pretty nicely. So what I'm going to do now is obviously we're going to start to put in a type layer. So here's one way you can go about it. I'm actually going to go into Layer, New, Text Layer. Sorry, Type Layer, Text Layer, one and the same. And I am actually going to stretch this entire navigator bar out so I can see the entire composition. So this right now is the entire clip that we want to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this this text, and I'm actually going to, this layer, and I'm actually going to drag the edges, hold down Shift, and it'll snap right there, and then right here. So now we got this nice little chunk because we know where our text is going to be. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my empty text layer. You can right click on it, edit text, and I'm going to try this. Let's try. So if you guys want to do like a quick bar, well, let's try this one first. So I'm going to show you guys how to use text animators. So what I'm going to do is, let me just spread this out a little bit. This isn't the nicest font. Oh, and I forgot one more thing, guys. Title Action Safe Grid. There we go. So now we can see the exact center. All right. And I'm also going to go in, transform, and maybe adjust the anchor point a little bit. There we go. And let's see. And again, because, I get a little nerdy about these things. There we go, because I like things to kind of feel like they're lined up a little bit. Not perfect, but we'll work with this. Futura. We could try something else. Maybe try a little bit bold. I also encourage you guys, ooh, spreads out just a little too much. Condensed medium. Condensed extra bold. Okay, that works. And guys, don't feel like you gotta only use the fonts that are on your computer. If you want to, feel free. If you have a computer at home or you guys are using your laptops, feel free to use fonts. There's DaFont or 1001 fonts. Just always be careful with those websites because sometimes you can wind up getting something you don't intend to wind up getting. But I definitely say DaFont and 1001 fonts are the more safest websites. And you know, if you guys can install them on your computer, cool. The only caveat to that is that then you guys will kind of have to use it primarily on that computer because I don't know what the policy is here on the school computers when it comes to you know, uploading and using fonts.
What was the title? 2001?
1001.
1001.
And DaFont, D-A-F-O-N-T. I might have it on Canvas. If not, I'll put a link on it, okay? So, again, if you're going to put like a whole verse on here, I don't have initially I don't have an issue with that, but what I recommend that you do for this is you're going to add a text animation. So how you do that is, if you haven't noticed it before, let me point out that in every text layer, you're going to have text animation nodes that are basically going to be located here. Okay, so you got your text, and then right next to it, animate. So what this is think of this as a drawer of extra animation properties. Okay, and what I like about these is these use something what are called range selectors. So let's try. I'm going to show you what the range selectors are in just a minute. So I'm going to try something like opacity. That's always an easy one to use. So I'm going to hit opacity, and if you guys haven't seen it, I'll show you. Let me just kind of quickly Control Z, and I'll show you. So pay attention down here when I go and I create opacity. All right. So as you can see, it created an animator node. Okay. So what it's basically doing is saying, okay, so you want to animate this text. So we're going to give it an animator node right here underneath. So you have animator 1, and I could call this, you can name it whatever you want to call it, animator opacity. So yeah, so there we go. And range selector 1, you don't really need a lot of range selectors, but what the range selectors are, if you ever notice up here, let's see if I can get up in here real quick. So you might notice that there's these lines, these thin lines. You have one here in the beginning, and another here at the end. What these basically are, essentially, think of them as like little directors, let's say, or like timing. They manage the time of every letter and character that's on your verse. So what you want to do, let me show you. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take everything that's here. Right now the opacity is at 100, and I'm actually going to bring it down to 0. So right now everything that's in between these two range selectors is at 0 opacity. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually not going to key the opacity here. I'm actually going to just go into, here's the start range selector, and here's the end range selector, which is at the very end right here. So since I want to do kind of almost like a natural read, like left to right, I'm actually going to I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit start at 0, because this is exactly where the starting range selector is. And I'm going to go all the way to the end, and I'm going to basically pull it to 100%. So now the range selector is at the very end here. Okay, so let's take a quick look.
I know you feel like you want me.
So I'm gonna pull this out a little bit.
I know you feel like you want me.
So there, as you guys can see, if you guys want to use full your full verses, that's probably the best way to do it. So add a text animator in there to kind of almost like, you guys ever see like the bouncing ball in those old sing-alongs when you were a kid and you saw the little ball sing, basically add an animation that's going to kind of like time with those verses when the singer is singing that verse. All right, so yeah, I mean, that's one way to kind of go about it. You can also maybe even add, let's see, might get a little crazy here, but I'm going to add, let's try fill color. And, RGB, that's fine. All right, so, and let's see. I'm just gonna. Yeah. So I'm actually going to change the color a little bit, and let's see. I might not even necessarily need range selector, but what I'm going to do there we go. Let's see if this actually. And range selectors are a little tricky, guys. So if I seem like I'm kind of like experimenting and playing around, I kind of get like that. So what I'm actually going to try to do is I'm actually going to turn off this range selector right now. And I'm actually going to, instead, I'm going to give it kind of a bit of like an offset. And let's see. Okay, you know what? I'm not going to experiment too much with this one. So, you know what? I probably am just going to do just a color. There we go. There we go. That's more like it. I probably would do like a little, it might require a little bit more. Let's see. There we go.
Feel like you want me.
So what I'm going to do, basically, you can add any color. So I think you guys are getting the idea, is to essentially kind of add like an animation that kind of goes along with the timing of the spoken word. And this is the part where it's almost like you want to kind of like have your headphones on, experiment, play around with things. But this is also what I want you guys to do, get into the habit of, is use the markers, okay, to basically to kind of block everything out. Because the quicker you block this out, the easier this project is going to be for you. Okay, so instead of doing everything linear, like okay, every single word, try to visually time up. I've seen students even after I teach them how to use the markers, they're still trying to kind of like marry everything up and around, and I'm like, use the markers. Make it easy for yourselves. Because you guys are going to have to be doing something especially if you guys want to get into motion graphics, and you guys are going to have to do projects like this. It's easy for you guys to kind of see and visualize what's going on in your timeline and be able to bust it out, within, you might be asked to bust something out within an hour rather than, being given the time frame that you guys are going to be given at right now. So this is why it's usually, I find it very helpful to basically, again, play around and take a look. Also, open up your sound layer so you can see the waveform. So as you guys can see, whenever something peaks on a waveform, that usually also indicates spoken word. So let's see.
And I guess in a way you do.
So right now, see these peaks and valleys. Again, you just got to put another. Got to put another composition marker in it. And I know this part seems rather tedious, but trust me. Get away. All right. And this might be another second. And again, the cool thing is when it comes to composition markers, you can always just adjust them even after the fact. And I usually kind of give everything kind of a different color so it can kind of differentiate. There we go. So,
and I guess in a way you do.
So this is where I'm going to also show you guys another quick, well, I'm going to say call it quick, but you could also add another animated text technique. I'm going to go in and I'm going to use what's called source text. So what that will do is, let's see, I'm guessing, and so what you can do is, let me see if I can create, depending on how, and let's see. Protected region. So it's almost like it can get a little, let's see, I'm going to actually make the label purple. All right. Oh, it's going to replace that. I forgot that part. All right. So you can do this in several different ways. You can just kind of maybe chunk off and block off individual words too. And again, this is all this part is like comes to like preference. So let's see. I'm actually going to hit edit text, and it's going to be and
I guess.
And I. So I think it's actually right here. And again, this is where things get a little bit like kind of you have to get into the nitty gritty. So this all depends. I'm going to go into my source text, and I'm actually going to change it again, and I'm going to call this. I'm just going to basically kind of key that. So what source text does is that it basically, and this is usually what I find a lot of students prefer using a much more easy. It's much more easier. What this basically does is that it will adjust the text to exactly where you key it and what you need it to be. So you can change and notice that these keyframes are actually square. So what that actually means, let's see if I could find an example. I guess not. I just don't think they show up in here. Oh well, that's okay. So basically, what they will do, what this text will do is, since they're blocked, there's no smooth transition. It's basically, this is what's going to look like. There's going to be no smooth fading transition from one text to another. Let's see, and I guess in a way, let's see, I think this one, and again, I go right into it. And you can not only change words, but you can also change color, style. So if you want to, let's see, let me just change it to Herculaneum, even though I'm not a really big fan of it. You can change. You can even change size if you want to. Let's see. Italic. So let's see how it quickly.
And I guess in a
So you got to kind of sort of marry. And I'm probably going to start to.
and I guess
Okay, so we're getting there.
and I guess in a
I think this is where it changes to. And again, you can change the color. Even the size. And let's change that.
and I guess in a
So now, as you guys can see, it's you could basically change the words to whenever the singer is speaking it. So does that make sense, guys? Yeah, yeah, yes.
How do you make a keyframe for the source text?
So with the source text, the keyframe is right over here. Okay, so if I want to, you can see. So the source text actually is like it's like right there under the text node on the text layer. So anything that has the little stopwatch icon can be keyed. Okay, so let's see. So yeah, basically what I'm doing right now is I'm kind of going in.
guess in a
You found it? Yeah. So I mean that's and every time you like just by making for me changing the text, as you could see, where my indicator was on there, it automatically made the key. Now I can also adjust it, after the fact.
in a way.
I can just kind of adjust the key to make sure that it matches up with the singer's song. So you kind of also have to do a little bit of detective work, but this is one of the things I like to do is when I do stuff like this, I like to look inside the waveform because the waveform is going to visually indicate where I need to place things, more or less. You guys got that so far? Okay, all right. Do you guys want me to go over anything else? Text animators, anything else of that nature? No? So you guys know what to do for the midterm? Yeah? Kind of?
Yeah, I spent some time playing around with it.
That's okay. Like if you just want to block things off,
Can you go over more like animation stuff?
animation stuff, sure. Yeah, I can definitely go. And for and to answer Alexander's question about getting started with this, what I recommend normally, as you can see right now, I'm building my text. I'm just basically building my layers this way, just kind of like putting basically blocking off my text in big chunks. you can do that. You can make it into big chunks. You can make it into like little tiny chunks. But this is where I like using the markers. That's where it's super helpful because it gives you the ability to visualize. And it's like when you guys are drawing anything, or if you guys draw, or if you're working on like like any film edits. Obviously, you kind of do like you block everything out. You start off with a base, and then you kind of then can finesse and add all the animations and all the fun stuff. So let's see if I could find. So like when you said animations, is there something like a specific animation, like some of that wavy stuff that you guys saw in one of the examples?
Right.
All right, let's see if we can do something like that. All right.
And like the baby and stuff.
Yeah, just give me a second, guys, because I talk a lot on these classes and it kind of parches my throat a little bit. So anyway, so what we can do, let's see, this looks like this is going to be a really nice verse. Let's see what this one's going to say.
Holding my breath, unraveling emotions.
Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what he said, and this is where this can come in handy. Oh, okay. Yeah, so holding my breath, unraveling emotions. All right, so let's say, and again, this is why if you're in a room with other people, put on headphones.
Holding my breath.
Okay, so he's like around here, this is where he's starting to sing. So again, I'm just going to block this off. All right, and usually it's default for a second, and actually I'm going to divvy it up, so to speak. And I'm going to give this another nice color. You can go a little cyan, maybe. Color's arbitrary, guys.
Holding my breath.
All right, and actually I'm going to go in, and this is where using the navigation toolbar kind of really helps. I'm sure you guys have to do like really kind of tight edits of things. So think of it as, let's see, because there's some, let's see. All right, so here's where he's singing. So around here's when singing, holding his breath. So I'm actually going to get it really tight in here. So where it ends, where it's kind of sort of like glowing, like kind of going into this valley a little bit. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to give it another text layer, and I'm going to have, let's try, holding my breath, and I'm just going to make sure that it fits right in there. Perfect. I'm going to edit the text. I'm going to just kind of hold my breath. That's not how you spell breath. Okay. So one of the things, let's see, if I recall my students' last work, it was kind of almost like a nice wave warp. We can do something like that. We can even, because now I'm looking at this, and I'm actually going to go in and take a look. So this here, this is where he's singing Holding My Breath. So now I'm kind of timing the animation. Let's give this like a nice wave warp. Why not? Everyone seems to like the wave warp. Wave warp is good. I'm pro wave warp. It's a fun. You can go into here, this window right here, and you can find it, or you can, I gotta check out of that. You can go into the effect right here, and let's see, where is the wave warp? Stylize, no, distort, yes, distort. wave warp. All right, so you got holding my breath, and maybe if you want to kind of do a nice wave warp. Let's see. So yeah, so now it's kind of like it's like warping it, and the wave warp is basically it's kind of already set on its own animation. Wave speed. It seems to be set at a full second for a full cycle of a wave. So what I might actually do is I'm actually going to increase the width a little bit so it spreads out, and the height I might actually, there we go, and the direction we can make it even go. So now, by altering the direction, instead of it going horizontal, the wave is going vertical. So it's almost kind of like what. Remember what we were doing with the trees last week when the trees were kind of. So playing with these will help you decide where do you want your wave to be. So, and as you guys can see, by putting an effect on the layer, see it brings that inside the layer itself. So let's make something here. So I'm actually going to have it come in from the bottom. So holding my breath. So this is where he's saying breath. I'm going to guess right around here. So let us go into the transform. I'm going to actually go in the position. And I'm actually going to go backwards, and I'm going to make the position, so I'm actually going X, Y, so I'm going to bring it down. And let's actually see, because I don't want it to be, yeah, so actually I'm going to have it coming in right from here. And again, this might be a nice time for me to show you guys how to, I think I've showed you guys before how to create a shape, an alpha mat. Let's do it one more time. So I'm going to probably create like a nice quick alpha mat that's going to go right over the words right here. So it looks like it's coming, instead of just doing like a quick like opacity, like it's just kind of like coming, like just kind of like ghosting in. I'm just going to do a quick, put it like a nice quick field. So I'm going to actually go into layer, new, shape layer. And as you can see, we've got another shape layer. And again, when you guys build layers, okay, so what's happening is you guys can see it's kind of building and like, stacking things on top of each other. This is why it's always good to, one, label your layers. And I'm just going to call this mask, just for the sake. And it's also good to kind of do this little trick where I basically will take the layer, and if it's not needed anywhere else, I'll just basically kind of like just take the ends and then bring them, block them where they need to be. Okay, so now that I have my mask, I'm actually going to quickly draw it in, rectangle tool. Doesn't matter what color it is. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to just drag it down a little bit. There we go. So now, in order to make this into a mask for this, I'm going to go into my track mat, and I'm going to take the track mat pick whip, and I'm just going to attach it to the mask. Okay, so it didn't look like it didn't do anything, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to go into the text layer itself. Now where it's showing the alpha right now, you guys can see right now you got this little white square with the black dot. That means it's acting as a mask. So what I actually want to do is I'm going to reverse it, and as you can see, it basically turned essentially these pixels here on this layer into a mask. And I prefer this rather than using the direct masks that are inside the layers. I find that it's a lot more useful. And I'm actually going to adjust it just a little bit. So I could probably just take that rectangle and then just bring that in. So as we discussed last week, guys, shape layers Any shape you put on it, you can put multiple shapes on the shape layer, and they're going to have their own transform properties. So you can key those. So you can have like 5 squares on one layer doing their own little thing, if you wanted to. All right. So let's see. Holding my breath. So now, yeah, okay, just kind of coming out of nowhere. Now, one of the things I can also do is, because this is it's using basically this square as a mask, I actually want to add a little bit of, I'm going to add a little bit of an effect on it. I'm going to add a bit of a blur, nice little Gaussian blur. And let's see, will that work? It is. I think it's working just a little bit. Yes, it is. There we go. So this is just, you don't have to do everything like this, but I just like, just showing you guys how you can use the variety of tools. Holding my breath. Let's see. All right. So now I'm going to go back in here, and you guys will find out you're going to be doing a lot of this, like zooming in and out of your timeline. And let me just kind of get in, and I don't really need to just close this mask up really quick. And now, since I've holding my breath, and what I'm probably going to do now is I just might get rid of this and then move breath to the center. So what I'm going to do is I got holding my breath, and I'm going to go into animate, and I'm going to let's do good old-fashioned opacity. All right. And let's try, I've never done it this way before. Let's see. Let's try, yeah, okay, so. I don't know if I'm going to do it that way. Might do. Actually, let's try it this way. There we go. That worked. So I'm basically making the end. Let's try. Oh. There we go. And then what I might do is now I'm going to adjust the position of the layer. I might have to kind of, and this is also where, like, looking at this, these keyframes, and then trying to match them up here. Just gonna move everything just a little bit, and I'm gonna move that. Nope, nope, no. All right, let's see how this looks. So, I mean, it's almost there. You got to do a little bit of timing, but you can kind of just, again, if you want to add different animations to it, play around with it, experiment. But I would always say, when it comes to this project, I want you to make sure that you guys are, basically marrying up the words to the vocals and being able to kind of handle it that way. If you want to add anything else, that's kind of almost like bake the cake, then add the icing and the sprinkles and everything else. And then, of course, do a little bit of easy ease. You can go in here, or I can, let's see, particularly here. Easy ease. Okay. And then going into the shape. I'm sorry, the graph editor. My apologies. The graph editor. And then just kind of like playing around with it. There we go. Let's see how this looks. Hopefully you guys had a chance to play around with the graph editor just a little bit. So as you can see, you're also it's adding a little bit of like, some nice pacing, so variations and some nuance. That's why I also want you guys to kind of play around with the graph editor, because if you guys want to get a job in motion graphics or show people that you can do motion graphics, knowing how to manipulate the graph editor, at least the time graph, or the speed graph, that's usually that shows you that, oh, this guy knows how to do this. It's a nice little, it's a little bit of polish that helps. Value graph, again, don't feel like you guys got to do necessarily a lot of that right now, because that gets a little bit more complicated. But again, if you also, once you get into the graph editor, to get out, you just click on the graph editor, you're back in the timeline again for keyframes. So there's no play around with any aesthetics that you want, however you want to mess around with it. Is there anything else you guys wanted me to kind of play around with? Yes.
I just have a general question, and I think you might have done one of this on the first video. Let's say you have the entire song in there, and you blocked off your 30 seconds. Is there a trim tool that will get rid of everything else?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So let me show you. Easy, and I'm glad you asked that. I kind of just went in and just already just taking like the first. And again, you guys don't. If there's a specific part of the song that you like, you guys. I'm not going to do this on this one because I've already established everything. But what you can do is, let's say, you make another one. All right. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to bring my my music down here. So let's say there's a part in the 30 seconds. Let's see. I'm going to show you how to do some quick editing. So go into your waveform.
I know you feel like you want me.
Actually, I'm not going to kind of listen to this all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let's say I want this part, and then I want to kind of go down a little bit further. So I'm actually going to duplicate this, okay? And I'm actually going to, let me just kind of mute that layer for right now. But with this layer, what I want to do is I'm actually going to just go in and actually, you know what, I probably didn't even need to duplicate it. What you could just do is you could just split layer, boom. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the one that I don't want. So what I basically did was, like here, essentially what it does is automatically it neutralizes the layer beyond this point. You could still add, as you can see, I'm still adding a few, like a second or two. You could still do that. Let's say I want to add something from, like, again, mix things up a little bit. And I'm not a sound engineer, so I'm going to leave that to you guys. But let's see, I want to unmute my sound layer. And let's say I want this one right here. So let's say I want this chunk. So what you can do is I'm just going to quickly just take the end. All right, and you got all this all this stuff right here. So let's say I want maybe it to end right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split layer, delete the layer that I don't want. Boom. So now I got this. So the thing you got to be careful of is, obviously you're going to make sure you want to avoid too much overlap. So what you could do, again, depending on how good your skills are, again, I'm not a sound engineer. I don't really know how to do a lot of this stuff. I just know how to do motion graphics. But what you can do, let's kind of zoom in a little bit. And I'm sure you guys probably have done this in there's other softwares that could do it better. And if you guys want to do it in, like, let's say you have Adobe Audition or whatever, or Premiere Pro, if you guys want to do like a quick edit that and then bring that in, that's completely fine. I only do the ones that work for me. So let's say I kind of want to do like a smooth transition. What I could do, let's see. I apologize to people's eardrums. So let's see. I'm actually going to have this layer take over. So I'm going to kind of just go into the audio files and then leave it at 0. And then I'm going to go over to the end, and I'm actually going to bring the decibels down to like negative. So as you can see, it's going to have like probably a much smoother transition in sound if it were. Let's see. Yeah, so I kind of there we go. Hopefully it won't be too bad and too horrible, but just to show you how I'm sure you guys will be able to do a much better job with the sound editing than I did just now, but let's see.
I guess in a way you do. Try.
So as you
I
guys
guess in
can
a
see,
way you do. Try.
I'm probably going to make some adjustments here, but you can edit certain parts of it. You can make your own little clip and then just kind of put it all together and then go from there. Okay, I would recommend if you guys want to kind of like create your own little soundbite clip, just do it in other software and then just bring it in, and that's fine too. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, I generally use After Effects for everything because I'm more trained in it. I'm more comfortable with it. I know how to do the troubleshooting in it. But there's other software like Adobe Audition, much better at sound engineering. Not gonna lie, and Premiere Pro, much better at it. Because it's more optimized for doing visual edits. Hopefully that answered your question. I tend to kind of go all over the place. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? No?
Do you know how to make the text look like it's melting or dripping? Does that make sense?
Yes. I can do something like it for the way I would do it. If you mean kind of want it almost kind of like gooey, kind of like there is a way. It does kind of require a combination of different, at least the way I do it, requires some different effects kind of merging together. But let me see what I can do. If not, I always tell people, always Google After Effects drippy text or melty text. You'd be surprised on what you can find, because I only know what I need, what I've done before many times. But I always tell people I don't have all the answers, but I try to be everyone's compass, and I could show you. So let's show you how I would normally do it if I wanted to do like a quick drippy text. I'm actually going to mute these for right now. Let's see, drippy text. Let's see.